pay for the the paid version. But we're live now, so welcome everybody. We've got Double D back, and we're so glad to have you back. As you know, I'm a huge fan of Diversity and Dragons, always have been, and I'm thrilled to have you back on the show because I had such a great time last time, and I would have had you back sooner. I just didn't want to bring you on for dumb stuff that you'd feel like you were wasting your time for. So I had to
sure that would never happen. But,
excuse, yeah.
But thank you. It's a pleasure to be back to talk with you guys. Thank you so much for asking me.
Oh yeah, sure do love having you on. And I'll tell you what, like the layer is like one of the highlights of my week. I love that. The only issue is I have a commitment with church that's at that exact time. So like I have to like miss the beginning of it, and you
don't miss the beginning. You tune in while you're at church.
I don't want to get you in trouble with the with the clergy there. So.
It's okay as long as our mom doesn't hear about it, or my mom.
Okay. That's
right. Because he has it turned down up to his ear.
like I'm talking to someone on the phone.
Well, we always appreciate hearing that kind of stuff. Like I said, it's certainly, the highlight of the channel. I still do canned videos, but obviously the Wednesday stream is kind of the focus point of it. And we try to put a little effort in. Some weeks there's a little less to talk about, from an RPG perspective, but we're always just so blown away at the people that show up every week and seem to kind of love what we're doing. So it's a real blessing to be connected with all you guys.
Oh yeah. And that's really most of the experience too, is that's why I hate missing the live show. Cause having that interaction, not only with you, Crazy Mouse and Rogan, but with all the other divers there to just kind of, talk crap about everything.
Yep. Yeah.
Let's make jokes and.
Well, the chat is often much funnier than we are, so we're glad they're there to bail us out. So yeah,
yep. Yeah, it's a great time, and just like being able to interact, because it's actually better than like watching an entertaining TV show, because you can't watch an entertaining TV show and interact with the people on the show, But with like the YouTube channel, you actually can and do.
Well, you have to kind of lean into both, I think. I think I see a lot of folks, they stream, and I don't want to say they're underprepared or unprepared, but they don't, especially if they're like alone, they don't seem to understand that the people are tuning in to hear what you have to say, not just kind of read the chat and kind of, answer things. Occasionally, you can do that. Like I do that for like member only streams. Yep. It's just to kind of like a get to know you. And I do want that personal touch, but the public that's tuning in, you are competing with so many other things these days, just to sit there and be like, okay, guys, what's on your mind? It's like, you can't really do that. You got to treat it as if it's, I hate to say it, like a TV show. And granted it's not. And, there's, all kinds of, things. It's hard to kind of to find that right balance, between interacting, with the chat, but also giving them what they want, essentially. So I always hope we try to walk that razor's edge. But
Well, I think the proof's in the pudding, because I think more and more people are joining the channel all the time. It's a lot harder these days to have my witty comment be noticed at all, because there's so many going up, and it's just kind of gets lost in the.
That's where my buddy Crazy Mouse comes in. He kind of monitors the chat, and just he'll just kind of throw up there whatever is on his clicking with him, I guess, that day. So I'll tell you what, if you have that access to that little Crazy Mouse emoji, go ahead and put that in there.
Yeah.
He'll love it. It's an easy way to his heart.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a good tip. Yeah. Well, and sometimes you kind of get little like sub conversations going, that fly right under your guys' radar because you've got the main show going, and then like you can kind of buddy up with different guys and just talk about common interests and stuff.
Which we think is great. Now if it's somebody disruptive coming in and just getting everybody's attention away from everything and, just talking about something silly, then, unfortunately you may have to wield the hammer just a little bit and time them out or something. But we generally don't do that because the chat is so well behaved. So
it is. Yeah. I don't see a lot of disruption. I don't think they really feel like they'd get very far. So they just usually don't.
I have a pretty high tolerance. There's people there that, hold on one second. Sorry, that was my phone. My son calling me.
Yeah, that's an adventure. Adventure hook right there.
we are now grandparents. Occasionally, there's. Thank you very much. Yeah, so our granddaughter's like 15 months old. We're having a great time, just kind of. Watching her, enjoying. So
yeah,
I'm just going to fire off a quick text here while I listen. I just want to make sure everything is okay.
Yeah, of course.
But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm super stoked about you being grandparents. I think that's awesome. We're still having kids. We're in that stage. Well, we just had one about 8 months ago. 9 months ago.
That's right.
Yeah,
I remember.
So it's pretty awesome. He's such a sweetheart. He's always smiling and everything. Everybody loves him.
What a blessing.
It is. Yeah, it's really great. Love it. Before too long, we'll probably be into the grandparent stage, though. But by that time, I think we'll be done.
Me and Josh aren't that old.
Yeah, you guys got plenty of time. Plenty of time to.
Yeah, I'm in no rush for that stage. But I'm trying to soak it in and enjoy it all. Now, you may think that I am dressed up right now because it's like a
special occasion for me.
Yeah. What is it, like the History Theater channel or whatever, where they have the special production with the narrator. But it's actually I had church responsibilities that just went really late and I just got in, so but
it never hurts to have a tie and a jacket on.
Yeah, I kind of thought so. It's like, hey, what's the big deal if I, go, dressed up? So what? Like it'll be fine. And it kind of fits with the theme of tonight. So your class of for Dragonslayer and ShadowDark. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it, and then I can show it on drive-through.
Yeah, so I did a video, some months back about just how sort of useless the modern day bard is.
Yeah.
In role playing, and it just doesn't have quite, I don't know, it doesn't really have quite a home. It's kind of the worst of all worlds. I never agreed with the fact that it was sort of a quasi-thief, quasi-illusionist. I mean, I understand what they were going for. To me, it just never kind of clicked. We've had guys attempt to play him at the table, to varying success. Actually, one of my players right now is playing one in my Birthright, which we're using Castles and Crusades, which is one of the better iterations of it. But yeah, it never really seemed to work. So it was a pretty well-received video, and I was just kind of throwing in there what I would do if I were to redo the class, so to speak. And I'd heard enough people saying like, those are cool ideas. And I was also kind of thinking like, it's time to get off your butt and start, just getting stuff out there. You have an audience that seems to like you. And I have been published before
Mhm.
in Dungeon Magazine and Knights of the Dinner Table magazine way back in the day. So I just want to start to get used to putting things out there. So I thought this was a perfect way to do it.
Awesome.
Start small. That's always my thing. Start small, do something good. You can get something complete in about 3 or 4 pages, and just kind of build on little successes.
Yeah, I think that's a great strategy, and kind of test the waters a little bit, dip your toe in, and I think it was kind of really interesting because you mentioned for players when the bard class is available, they want to play it stupid, because like I guess the concept lends itself to silliness pretty easily, especially with the modern concept of a bard and 5e and 5.5
Yeah.
And so it just kind of it's just all this trying to seduce dragons and just dumb stuff. So
Silvery barbs.
Yeah, and it's almost like it's like, do we want to pepper our campaign deliberately with stupid, or
Yeah.
or do we want like it's okay for laughs to emerge? And I know, goodness knows that happens at our table, with our kids and everything. Like there's always silliness going on, and that we like it. It's fine, but like I don't know about like purposely introducing a class that we know is going to be like dumb from the beginning. So
like, I feel like it's more fun to like, instead of purposely introducing a class that's like dumb, it's like fun to have it as where it's just like a surprise, like someone thinks of something funny and it happens or something like that.
Yeah, it's more organic that way.
I agree.
Yeah. And then it might become a running joke, but it's not forced, it's like doesn't start out that way. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
And so, yeah, in like, looking at, some of the background from what I was finding on this concept of a warrior poet, and looking a little bit at what you had for your class, it did seem like a bard was either like an adjacent thing, or it was like a direct jumping off point for this. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I mean, my inspiration is that, the bard that kind of just sings for immediate benefit is silly. It's very silly, and people sort of just buy into it because they have for many years, even OSR players. But at the core of it, it's just dumb that in the middle of battle, you're just strumming your lute or, just recounting a poem. All right, guys, did I ever tell you the story about the poem? As you're, ducking to get your, to avoid getting your head cut off. But in the same respect, you could have this kind of intellectual warrior, who thinks of things. He's not just concerned about. He takes lessons from what he learned in that battle, and then maybe he is able to apply it, on a larger scale as time goes by. And you start reading about, guys like George S. Patton, Sun Tzu. These people do exist. They have existed. Men, warriors. With a poet's heart. But it's just they do their writing. After the battle. During the battle, they're good warriors. Because they're smart and they learn lessons. And so that was just kind of my inspiration.
They don't take unnecessary risks to sing a song.
Yeah, exactly. And then it kind of also brought me to, a class, the much maligned 4th edition of D&D had this class called the Warlord. And despite how you feel about, 4th edition, that was actually one of the high points of it. It was this, kind of battle commander. And granted, it was intricately tied to the system itself, which meant it was kind of video gamey. But this sort of, character class that's not really maybe in the battle, hot and heavy all the time, but, can kind of sit there and just kind of dole out bonuses and, buffs and things like that as he kind of takes in. It's an interesting concept. So I kind of, the warrior poet's just kind of a fusion of those two things.
Yeah. I'd like to dive in, pardon the pun, dive in to, some of the background on that. But before we do, I was kind of thinking about like my ideal concept for a bard. I know that Greg he's actually going to have a bard in his upcoming gazetteer, the Northern Reaches.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm looking forward to that. He's even offered me to help play test it, which I would be excited to do. Now, I don't know which direction he'll take it, but I'll let me state my personal preferences of how I would design a bard if it were up to me. And I'm not by any means a game designer, but I'm just as far as taste wise goes, I would not lean into magic for a bard. I would do it more because I think that is encroaching on, something that's more particular to the magic user classes.
Well, you're stepping on their toes.
Yes.
You're kind of watering down what they do if you can just kind of give out what this supreme ability they have and just kind of give it away so freely.
Exactly. And you're right, to give it away freely. It's like, like we're passing it out like candy, passing spells out like candy,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we should do that. I think it should be, much more, you guys still there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I lost the image of where you guys were. My computer's doing silly stuff. I think it would be, oh goodness, let's see if I can find you guys now.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'll talk, I guess, while you find. I agree. I think in any game, having and 5e is notorious for this, is just to have classes that constantly step on the toes of other classes. In fifth edition, a lot of times it's like, oh, I want to try to find a trap. You're the thief. Well, I failed. Well, every other class can. Well, I'll just make a spot roll or whatever it is. It's been a while. I can't remember, perception or whatever. And like, oh, geez, I found it. And it's like, oh, okay. So the dumb dwarf fighter found the trap, but the human thief did not. I've always thought there's something wrong with that, and that I think with Castles and Crusades, with how we play, like when you're trying to do something that another class does, there's a penalty for that, as well there should be.
Yeah, and so as far as like the bard goes, where I would go with that is I would lean into kind of the roguish aspect. So I would make him like a scrapper, and I would definitely, of course, you have the songs, the poetry and stuff like that, and he carries a lyre, and maybe if he can sing a clever song before an encounter, it can give him some kind of bonus or something,
Yeah.
And then if he can sing a clever, witty song after an encounter, maybe there's a little bit of extra experience points or something like that. But that's about as far as I would take it. And then, and maybe the rest can be like social interactions at taverns and stuff like that, getting to know people, getting adventure hooks and stuff like that. I think that could make a pretty interesting character, So
yeah, definitely a support character.
Yeah.
Somebody that the party should love at every point except in the middle of battle. You know what I mean? Like they're not probably a huge help in the kind of bard that you're describing. They would be like they would be the heart and soul of the party, but maybe just not, a frontline fighter.
Yeah, that's right. And like not useless in battle, right? But not your mainline fighter. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, here we are. We're taking a look at the warrior poet class here on Drive-Thru. It's I see it's on sale right now. Is that sale going to be lasting a little while, or do you...
much is it? How much does it say?
It was regular $2.49. Now it's $1.99.
I'll give you a little behind the scenes how the sausage is made. I think they do that automatically. So I think it's always meant to be like $1.99. So
okay.
yeah.
So that you're like, oh, it's on sale.
Purely, and I think that's just something they do. They'll obviously if you're just kind of cruising and just kind of flipping through stuff, I'm not sure how 50 cents off of a a $2 product is that big of a thing, but hey, I guess every little bit helps, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. Yeah. But no, yeah, that's kind of interesting, because I'm pretty sure that's gotten me more than once. You know what I mean? Like, oh wow, it's on sale right now. I better get it.
Hey, putting things at $0.99, $1.99, you'd be surprised how that sometimes that'll be the deciding factor. I'll pull the trigger on it. It's only
$14.
And you never round up.
Yeah,
you never round up in your mind. So.
That's right. Oldest trick in the book is, and we all know it, and it gets us every time. Yeah.
Yep. But I will say I didn't. That was not my not my idea. But that's something the Drive-Thru just does.
Yeah. No, that's cool. All right. So if I click preview on here, well, first of all, we can see we've got a page count of 5, right? So it, like we said, it's just a little thing, but it is going to offer just an interesting new take on things, and this is what we get in the sample.
Yep, they always want you to give a couple of sample pages, so people can kind of get a taste of it. So this is the OSR version, and any of you guys that have the Dragonslayer RPG from Greg Gillespie, as you mentioned earlier, I kind of tried to follow, if not mimic, just at least sort of have an homage to Greg's layout, at least. Obviously I can't produce it, because I don't know what he's using. But in the same respect, I kind of wanted that sort of a look, So you have the picture there, and everything else is sort of kind of formatted in how he does every class in his book.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, some familiarity, some usability that we can, kind of port right into Dragonslayer.
Yep. What was that, Abby?
Did you draw any of the art in this? No,
I did not. This is all public domain art. Yeah, I happened to find some. It
looks amazing.
It is good. It is good public domain art. Yeah, I kind of found some stuff that matched, and I'm like, I can do this. But the problem with public domain art is there's a finite amount of it, and as we talked about off camera, I'm starting to do some of my own drawing, for better or worse. Basically in this, sort of just black and white line art style. I found that one image right there, and I'm like, that's pretty well bang on for what I have, envisioned.
Yeah.
Which one? The one at the top?
At the top, yeah.
Yeah. Now, Abigail was kind of interested in seeing some of your art. I know that's springing it on you, without any warning. But
one sec.
Getting us. You're seeing it now on D&D Dad and Son. Exclusive.
Keep in mind, these are obviously going to be more of sketch quality because I'm not very good right now. But I'm basically just taking some inspiration and all right, so this is in the adventure I'm working on right now. This is the sorceress Ottilia.
Oh wow.
Those are really good.
Oh, thank you.
They are. They look awesome.
Yeah, that's not just, garbage. That's great.
I mean, I had to get reference, of course I'm going from reference. And I didn't want to use any AI.
Every good artist uses references.
Yeah. I did have to use, because sword and sorcery is such a unique thing, it's hard to find models out there. So I just did ask Grok. I'm like, just show me some classic pulp fantasy, and it showed me a beautiful color one that could have been on a like a pulp magazine from the 1930s. And so I just said, okay, I'll take this one and I'll use this as my model. And then I went to sketching. Yeah, so that's her. That'll be in an adventure that I'm working on that maybe we can talk about. Her name's Ottilia. So yeah,
awesome.
That's so cool.
Thank you so much.
Is that like a jungle adventure?
That's the big one that I'm working on. So no, this is not. This is not that. That I actually have art coming from Ken and James, who is one of the masters, as you well know, in this field. But he's actually working on Greg's, getting art done for Greg's project. So you got to kind of know your place, and my place is behind that. So and Kenan is very nice. He's like, dude, he's like, I'm working so hard, and I'm like, just take your time. I'm like, I know it's gonna be good, and that's why I didn't start any crowdfunder or anything for that big jungle adventure yet. I'm just like, I haven't promised anybody anything. It's mostly written, but I need the art for the layout, So when I start kind of putting it together, so I have to kind of sit on my hands, and that's also sort of why I am, doing these other adventures that are just going to be, like PDFs on Drive-Thru RPG. So I started with the Warrior Poet, which we're discussing, and I'm working on an adventure right now. So,
well, that's exciting. Yeah, no, that's really cool. Josh wrote up an adventure, and he asked me to draw it for him. I just haven't gotten around to it. Right now, I'm helping out Travis Faber with his Full Metal Tilt Kickstarter. So,
yeah, Travis is a good dude.
Absolutely. So that's really interesting. So
JP says she needs to eat something. She's like she's a sorceress that's been captured and held in stasis for a while. JP, that's why I kind of wanted her. I actually kind of wanted her to be like that. Yeah, I wanted her to kind of be wiry and not so curvaceous, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a little slow on capturing the comments because, like, when my computer went haywire, there's this thing right up on my screen, like right in the way. So I got to move things around to see if anyone did anything.
Yeah, and your mic cuts out sometimes. Like you.
Does it?
Muffled. Okay. Did you hear it?
It gets a little. I don't want to say like robot-y, but yeah, it gets a little muddy. Yeah, that's a perfect word, Abby. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well. All right. So.
You're fine. Don't worry about it. Just go. It was just like one part was like that. So yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Yep. All right. So taking a look at the class here. I mean, we've got ability requirements and we've got race and level limits
here. You want to pull it up again?
And prime requisite. Yes, let me do that. Sorry.
Do you have the actual file?
I do. Let me.
Okay. I was gonna say if you don't, I can certainly put it up as well. But yeah, go ahead if you have a.
Pull that up and then let me share my screen again. Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you guys see that? Okay. I'm gonna have to make it bigger so that we can.
It hasn't popped up yet.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Might have to add it to the.
Yeah, you're right. I do. Let me. Sorry, it's all going.
No worries.
There we go. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So there we go. All right. Here's the Warrior Poet. So we've got these ability requirements: Strength 13, Intelligence 13, Charisma 13. So that's, I would think, well above average. You wouldn't say it's extraordinary. but it is certainly, not to be sloughed at.
Well, there's a reason for that. He has some pretty, as he goes along, the warrior poet has some pretty powerful in combat like abilities. So I didn't want to have it to where somebody could just kind of, min max and just take this and, just kind of bleed it for, every advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so what kind of abilities did you have in mind? I mean, we can kind of scroll down and have a look. But
yeah,
which
you can show the whole thing too. I mean, if my view is, if people like it, they're going to spend $2 to get to get it. So yeah, you can certainly show off anything here. You don't have to worry about. But like having the cleave is good. He is a warrior. He is sort of starting out as a fighter. But to kind of lean into both aspects, this is also an interesting guy. And by the way, you'll hear me use guy, man, he. That's just for clarity. Obviously, as I state at the end, this class is open to female characters as much as men. But I'm just going to refer to it as he. But
most interesting man in the world kind of guy.
Exactly. Yeah. But he gets an experience point bonus, but also gives a group experience point bonus as long as this guy is out there and he's telling tales at taverns and not afraid to let everybody know of the party's deeds. He actually gives a bonus to the experience point of the whole group. And in fact, if you go carousing with this guy, and it's actually more pronounced than the ShadowDark version, but if you use Greg's optional carousing rules, he actually provides a little bonus on that too. So, and what I'm going for there is this is a guy that everybody should want around. He's pulling his weight in combat, but he's also just kind of a fun guy. He'll be in his cups. He'll tell tales. He'll, drink a little too much, maybe womanize a little. But at the end of the day, like I said, he can deliver the goods. That's right, JP.
I like this one.
Yeah.
Good Lord, this guy should be writing stuff.
That's right. He's got a poet right here.
He is
Kindred
the
spirit.
poet.
That's right.
Speaking of which, Josh is actually a very talented poet. He's won poetry competitions and stuff like that. But
now who is this?
My son Josh.
Oh, okay, Josh, your son. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that is so cool.
Yeah, it seemed like a pretty unlikely thing, but he actually, became quite noted at his school for his amazing poetry, and so we went to basically a competition where he was just hey guys, I guess I'm doing this competition, and then he killed all the competition, he killed them. And
I'm sure you were pretty proud of him, huh?
Yeah, it was a proud moment because it was like, wow, he really is very good at this.
Who's his favorite poet?
Oh, it's that Charles guy that I can never remember his name. Right? He named his dog after him, I think.
Oh.
Right?
JP, let us know. He's the man.
Think of something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Actually, I should ask him and find out. But yeah, no, I tried to ask him to hey, Josh, write about the camaraderie of playing D&D together, but he didn't really think that was a very cool idea, so he didn't do it. But
nice.
Maybe it was just a bad idea on my part. But
yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought, hey, Josh, they got this class, this warrior poet class, and actually, it's kind of funny because I had thought of this idea, what a cool thing would be is a warrior scholar class, someone who fights, but they're also bookish and maybe they know lore and stuff like that.
Exactly what this is. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like a week or two later, you come out with this product, and I was like, oh wow, someone beat me to the
scooped. Yes. I'm sorry, Ryan. I didn't mean to do that.
No, it's okay. I don't think I could have come up with anything that was really of any note. So it's fine. Like we could use yours. So
I appreciate that. I'm sure you'd have done fine too, though, brother.
Yeah, I think it just shows that there's like there's a niche there that was worthy of exploring, and kind of bringing out and bringing into play maybe.
Absolutely.
Now, if we go back up here and we take a look at like some of the race and level limits, so unlimited for human, which is unsurprising. Dwarf 9, elf unlimited, halfling 9, half elf unlimited. If you want to kind of walk us through a little bit of some of the what you had behind that.
That's just one you sort of have to feel about. I had a sense that this is a class that probably, I guess if I had my druthers, maybe I'd change the dwarf. But just the elf and the human just kind of seemed right for it. Maybe I should have made the dwarf unlimited, but I was also kind of also paying attention to Greg's rules, and he's never afraid to put the kibosh occasionally on some of these demi-human limits, because they do get other bonuses. So I didn't feel necessarily bad. Like the halflings, that's fine. And not open to like an orc. I don't see that. I mean, you're free to obviously do it if you want, but that's not how I envisioned it. So mainly a human and elf endeavor, and dwarves, dwarves are welcome and are halflings, but maybe it's just kind of capped.
Yeah, no, I think not doing the dwarf not doing the orc was a good call, because
Charles Bukowski, you like the Roberts,
or Roberts, or
I
Robert
love Robert Frost.
Robert Service. I've never heard of Robert Service, but I think we all enjoy some Robert Frost here or there.
Robbie Burns.
Robbie Burns. Yeah, absolutely.
Greg did an adventure based on a Robert Burns poem.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's really cool. And I've recently learned that song that they play at New Year's and New Beginnings and stuff like that, Old Lang Syne, I think it's called.
Old Lang Song,
Old
Lang Syne,
was written by Robbie Burns, and someone put it to music, and it's like one of the most popular songs worldwide, I guess.
Yep.
So it's like that's pretty neat. So,
I like Charles Bukowski, but he's a bit of a slovenly degenerate, but a very talented writer. In other words, Abby, I don't think you'd get anything honestly from Charles Bukowski. Yeah. He's very, very like male centric, but he has a good novel about working at the post office. He was a postal worker for many years back in the day, and it's very very interesting, the stuff that he kind of had to go through to work there and stay working there as pretty much an alcoholic.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah. Charles Bukowski was a huge drunk. Interesting guy, a very good writer. A little degenerate though, and definitely a drunk.
That's funny. My wife's sister keeps telling my wife stories about she works at a post office and about how the boss drinks on the job and stuff like that.
While we were there, he kept running into this same homeless lady, and she's like, "Oh, one time I had to call the police on her because she was sleeping in the post office."
Up in Canada? Oh my
God. Like people were stepping over her, she said.
Oh my Lord, yeah. Just what you want, yeah.
Well, and Ludwig von Mises is famous for saying, the socialists, they promise you a paradise and then they make everything like the post office.
Yes.
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 So
very well put.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, no, this is cool. So he's got 2 prime requisites: strength and charisma, a D10. So this is definitely formidable. Did you want to talk a little bit about like some of the differences between the ShadowDark version and the Dragonslayer version of this warrior poet?
Yeah. In fact, I can share
Okay.
the ShadowDark version. Let me. Okay. All right. So if you, it should be down there and ready for you to.
Cremation of Sam McGee. Okay. Yes, absolutely. Heard of that.
I think I've heard that one, but I don't know that one.
Yeah, it should be down at the bottom, Ryan, ready for you to share in screen.
Got it.
Do you see it?
Thank you.
Yeah, let me make that a little bigger. Too big. Okay. Yeah, so you have to know who your audience is. ShadowDark is I sort of consider it like an OSR game, but it's different. It obviously has a slightly different lineage. It sort of comes from 5th edition D&D. But it's very reductive, very stripped down. It has I wanted to be respectful of both formats, Greg's Dragonslayer OSR format, but also Kelsey Dion's ShadowDark format as well. So again, I went back to the source material, which in this case is just the rule book, and just kind of did my best to, sort of emulate it or, have an homage to it. Even the writing I sort of changed to kind of mimic, how things are presented there. As I said, that's, very stripped down. So as you can see here, there's certain things that had to go. You didn't show a lot of the higher level abilities of the OSR version, but it got some pretty good bonuses. Both offensive and defensive, and also at the end, the ability to perhaps bring someone back from beyond. Someone who had just died.
Oh, okay. Kind of
was,
that's an interesting ability.
It is. It's the last one I think you get in the OSR version. You have this sort of mystical way with words. And
kind of reach into the supernatural a little bit with
exactly. You sort of forget what we call it here. It is the Song of Deeds Unfinished. And again, this is on the OSR version, not the one you're looking at here. At 9th level, the warrior poet can try to use his almost mystical gift with words to inspire a PC or NPC who has just died and bring them back to life. Can't have been dead for more than a minute. So this isn't like this is more like as I envision it with that, it's more like they're not quite dead yet, even though they're in game terms they're dead. But it's that that important minute where maybe they still have a connection to this world, and they can kind of hear your words, your comforting words, your inspirational words that you have more work to do. So please come back. So I didn't want it to be like essentially a spell. I kind of wanted it to live in that middle ground.
Right. Yeah. Kind of like this "don't die on me now" kind of.
Yes. Exactly.
Thing, right. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, the ShadowDark version, I did include that because I thought it was. Now, death in ShadowDark, you do get like a death save already, so it's kind of blunted in that respect. I thought that it was important enough to include in this version. So essentially, these are your bonuses, your potential talents, I guess, in the ShadowDark version. You can determine if initiative goes clockwise or counterclockwise. That's a big thing, actually. So that sort of mimics in the OSR version your bonuses. Some of your bonuses in combat where you're kind of a strategist. It kind of helps that. Of course, just the bog standard, and you'll find this in just about every ShadowDark character. And again, I wanted to be faithful to it. Just the +1 to ranged attacks or melee. There's the Song of Deeds Unfinished. When an ally dies, you speak final words to them, and they get a final save on a 15+ they arise. Again, that works with their rules as written. Or a +2 to strength or charisma. And then to kind of also hone back in, once per combat, you grant advantage to an ally's attack or disadvantage to an enemy's attack. So that kind of covers both bases, as far as your strategery, so to speak.
Oh, that's cool. We've got a couple questions here. JP wants to know, are we talking a literal minute or a colloquial minute?
Well, it can't be done in the heat of battle. So, either is fine. That's how I envision it.
DM discretion kind of thing.
DM discretion, yeah. I mean, if you wanted to be a DM and wanted to count it down a minute, that's okay too. But really it should be out of combat, when, you're not under any threat, to speak these words.
Put a ShadowDark timer on it.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
Hey, we got comments from DM Bloodworth. I'm really glad to see you here, Bloodworth. I watch your show a lot, and I love it. So welcome to the channel.
And he is right, yeah. Mrs. D always outplays me, so I'm a born DM, not a born player. Thank you. Thank you very much, Rich. Yeah, I hope you're doing well, buddy.
Yeah, good to see you. I would have loved to have gamed with you guys. I just couldn't make it this year. So I really missed out on seeing YCon. I really did. So
it's a great time.
Couldn't make it happen with work, and it really wasn't fitting into the budget anyway. And so it just.
Well, you got your hands full. You got a young family, so you definitely got your hands full. So it's understandable.
Maybe soon, hopefully. But no, that's great. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the influences for this. We've already talked about the Bard, how this was kind of like a springboard, I guess, for doing this concept and doing it well, instead of doing it in a regretful way, like we kind of end up with the Bard, I think, in a lot of instances. But it seems to me that there's historical precedence for a warrior poet concept. So do you want to talk to that a little bit about what really inspired you to this? What was it really the Bard class that got you thinking about this as a viable option, or were you thinking
it was? That's where it started.
Okay.
But then you kind of run in, as you said, the way it's been interpreted before. And I understand, a lot of people say, well, the original advanced D&D version was good, and maybe it's a little better, but I just don't think it. I don't think it captures what, in my opinion, is a slightly better interpretation. Somebody who's just sings is essentially an NPC. Somebody who's singing, for bonuses, you're sort of stretching credulity. And that's why over years, the proof is in the pudding. That's why there's so many memes about bards singing in combat, with a crying guy with the mandolin or the lute, as his
arrows.
As his friends are being stacked up like cordwood in front of him. So to me, it just kind of needed to be kind of stripped down, like you're a warrior first. And then sort of this poet bard second. And, before they didn't really even have him as a bard or a poet first. He was sort of, you're sort of a thief first. Well, you're also kind of an illusionist first. Oh, and you can sing too. You're kind of that first. You're just a jack of all trades. Well, you know what they say. Jack of all trades, master of none. It's just every class, can do something better than what the bard kind of does. I will say this: there is a place for bards traditional bards in low-level D&D campaigns. You know, when you're sort of have a smaller party, maybe like 3 people, you know, so you have your classic fighter and maybe magic user, you know, or maybe just a fighter cleric or something. And then you're like, okay, well, we're shorthanded, so maybe in this case, you know, jack of all trades is what we need. So I can kind of see that, but that's, you know, really a small use case.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my point, is just to have him be a warrior first, and then someone who thinks about war, thinks about battle, and, you know, talks about it and writes about it second, you know, and maybe, you know, we also make him interesting so he has some charisma and people want to listen to him. You know, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of warriors who, after a battle, you know, just get drunk and, you know, complain, or, you know, just, you know, aren't very compelling, but, you know, rare.
Fighter and a thinker.
Yeah, exactly. Rare is the fighter thinker, you know, who can kind of phrase things for the populace, and
more depth than just a regular fighter. You know, more you know, I guess 2-dimensional instead of just 1-dimensional.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
I stand by it. You know, I think, honestly, I think it's a unless you wanted to go further, I could stop this screen here if you would like.
Sure.
Yep, there we go. It's one of those things, like I know Greg's going to do a great job on his bard, you know, and that's great. I'll stand by this interpretation, though. A lot of folks, you know, they want authenticity with the original version of D&D, and I absolutely understand that. But sometimes just being authentic doesn't necessarily mean it's better. You know, maybe it's still good. I would say this. I guess I would say I think it's better than any traditional interpretation of the bard. You have to stand by what you write, don't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, I will say that.
Yeah, I like it. I think it has an appeal. Now, I thought it's interesting, like if there's some kind of historical precedent, and there certainly is, actually.
Yeah, Sun Tzu.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't even think about that one.
Yep, Sun Tzu. Yep. George S. Patton. Look at George S. Patton, Through a Glass Darkly. You know, a great poem about warfare. You know, everybody always just, you know, blood and guts Patton, you know, the great tank commander. But the man was highly intelligent. Yeah, he was hot tempered, and he was a warrior poet. Yeah. Thank you, brother Anselm. It's on drive-through. Yeah, there's 2 versions. Make sure you're getting the right one. It's $1.99 for the OSR version, which is compatible with the Dragonslayer RPG from Greg Gillespie. But, you know, even if you're not using that, it should be easy to include in any other version of D&D, old D&D. And there's also a ShadowDark version, and that one's only $1.49 because there's a little less to it. So tried to price them accordingly. So, you know, you can't even get a cup of coffee for $1.49 or almost $2 these days. So I'd like to think it's a bargain, and, you know, just meant to get into people's hands. So
kind of reminded me of the Matt Foley skit on SNL there for a second. You know, let the nickel get you a hot cup of Jack. So, yeah,
I love it.
Your dollar doesn't go far these days, so.
I just did that to Crazy Mouse last week. Somebody was bringing up before our Friday night D&D game. He was sitting in the chair in the living room. We were waiting for everybody to get there, but a couple of people had arrived, and somebody brought up Shakespeare. And I went over to, is that Bill Shakespeare over there? It's hard to get Crazy Mouse to laugh, but he was chuckling after I did that. So. Yeah.
That's funny that it's hard to get him to laugh, because he's always got me laughing all the time whenever he he wants to stay in a good mood, but just to get him to kind of belly laugh and even chuckle hard, it doesn't happen very often. So he'll admit, he's like, yeah, I'm a hard laugh. He's like, I don't know. So yeah. All right. Well, that's fun. Let me. Okay. So I've got this. This will be interesting. I think. At least I hope so. So if I go, let's see, window, and of course that's totally in the way. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to share that and go back to.
Could also talk about the magnum opus in the that's not in the ShadowDark version, although you're free to use it. But in the OSR version, at a high enough level, sometimes on like old school D&D, like high level characters, they have to go on some quest or something like that. In mine, you have to write your magnum opus, which is
right.
like you have to write your art of war, your Sun Tzu, or maybe it is just like a play, put on at like some huge amphitheater in the biggest city in your campaign world, something that sort of defines the aspect of you that's like a warrior poet. The emphasis on poet. It's meant to be at high level, so you should have like a bunch of things that you can talk about by that point.
Right. And and warrior poet, I think you'll agree. And as we take a look at kind of what I got here from ChatGPT, because I actually engaged with ChatGPT to kind of like, hey, give me some like background on this concept. It casts a pretty wide net. It's not strictly someone who uses a sword and they write poems. It's like, well, no, it's like someone who like has the warrior spirit. They're dangerous, but they also they have this thoughtful, creative outlet that is it's kind of transcends time by creating art, maybe through song or that sort of thing. Or,
another inspiration was honestly William Wallace from Braveheart, as played by Mel Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
He says at the end, the Scottish warrior poets. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, so
definitely an inspiration.
Yeah. No, that's a great thing. So I didn't even think about that. So yeah, it's kind of talking about warrior poet. The capacity to fight and the capacity to think. Of course, that's why we're not putting, half orcs into this kind of position.
Yeah,
it doesn't fit. They're dumb. They're one dimensional. They're just fighters. So,
yep.
And and it says, historically, poet is part of kind of a broader category than just writing poetry. So you could be, a scholar. A philosopher, a rhetorician, a musician, a historian, different things like that.
Well, I even say, this is again more in the OSR version, which, like I said, has just by virtue of the fact that it's a traditional OSR, has a little more meat on the bone. That this guy should be like willing to talk with anybody. In fact, he should be seeking out people to talk to, not write songs about necessarily, but just go interview. Like, oh shoot, there's a survivor of this great battle that took place 30 years ago. Did you know there's a veteran of that, and he's on his last legs and just the 2 villages over? This warrior poet should be like, guys, I have to go talk to this person. I want to get his recollections of everything in this battle. So he's sort of, as you allude to there with the ChatGPT query, he's kind of a historian, but he also uses that history for immediate benefit. Like how can he use that to help the party's chances in battle? Right.
Yeah, and I think
I like that, JP. I like that.
Yeah, a bit of a segue into this I guess this additional concept here, philosopher king. That's kind of like a Conan progression, right?
Yep.
Warrior, conqueror, king. Like that.
Exactly.
I also think that your warrior poet might be your most competent guy for solving the riddle of the Sphinx, so to speak. so when you're encountered with those sorts of things, this is going to be the guy who, who has the lore in his mind and has the creative thinking that he's going to be useful in that kind of a circumstance.
Yeah, and even if there's not a mechanic for that, that's when the DM should sort of realize, like, all right, this is something that might be up your alley. I'm going to give you a hefty bonus to sort of figure this thing out. For sure. Yeah, it should not be an across the board thing, because I do think he's definitely a little more focused on battle, warfare, everything around that. That should really be, right up his alley.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that's really the point. Like I think that's what makes the class really unique and stand out, is like he is a premier fighter. You know what I mean? Were it not for that, I don't think there would be much special about the warrior poet, right? He'd just be like a scrapping artistic person,
Yes.
but like not really great at fighting, but the fact that they are, he's like a precision machine, like General Patton, at being able to to kill,
Yep. That's why there's such high hurdles to get to, in order to be, one of these. It should not be for everybody. It should be for a really good role when you're creating your character. Like, oh, I have an ability to be something really special.
Interesting thought about Conan here. So JP is saying Conan would fit. He was not the taciturn, bloodthirsty character from the movies and comic books. He had curiosity about people and places. He was quite conversational in the original Robert E. Howard writings.
There is some truth there. I would agree with that. Maybe his is more verbal. Like he has more like the oral tradition. But yeah, he does wax at times very philosophical. One of the best Conan stories ever is I think it's Beyond the Black River, where they're facing essentially like they're at the borderland where the Picts are, and the Picts are just kind of the savage natives that are encroaching on civilization. They represent degeneracy, and civilization is trying to fight back. But in this particular story, it takes its lumps, and there's a couple moments in that story where Conan gets very very poetic about what this all means. So I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's a lesson actually we can all draw in our current environment. If I don't, say so myself, like with the mass migration stuff and everything, and civilization and the barbarians at the gate, basically.
Absolutely, and just because it's not printed in a story with really good flowery language, the danger is still the same. Ask anybody in Great Britain right now. Those folks are losing their culture, their civilization, and it's people who, generally speaking, don't belong there.
So Brother Anselm says, I'm in drive-through looking. What should I search for, please? I'm buying to support. So let me see. You should be looking for this.
Yes.
The Warrior Poet. This is the OSR version. Depends on whether you play ShadowDark or anything OSR.
Yeah. But if you look at, if you get there, you'll see the Double D Enterprises. Yeah. You could probably also search for that too. That'll bring up both. Yeah. If you go to any of my recent videos, Diversity and Dragons. If you look in the description to any of my videos or live streams within the last couple months, I have a direct link in those to go right here, so you can also do that too. And thank you, Brother Anselm. I do appreciate that, brother. Let us know if you need any help.
Yeah.
Beyond that, yeah.
And going back to what JP wrote about Conan, I mentioned that I was a Tarzan fan a little bit earlier, or maybe it was offline or something.
Yeah, I think it was off camera. Yeah.
Yeah, because I love Edgar Rice Burroughs, and of course he created Tarzan, and um, it's interesting because like the Tarzan that people think of in like common everyday pop culture is like he's really dumb. He's basically a monkey man. Ooh, Tarzan. Tarzan. He doesn't know how to use pronouns. Like
Right.
like he has to say
Me Tarzan, you Jane. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, but that was an invention of the many movies that he was in. He's actually the most filmified character in history, really. He, basically, if you read the books, Tarzan was actually highly intelligent, and it was because of his like British, genetic heritage that he was able to, although raised like an ape, rise up to the level of a very groomed, well-mannered, and sophisticated man. But he still had these like animal tendencies that made him dangerous. You know what I mean? And that really kind of was the character that was, you were presented with in the books, and it was very enthralling.
Well, that's what made him an interesting character, which makes anybody an interesting, that sort of duality, where you're always fighting against, your more savage or worse instincts, but you can maybe sometimes you give into them, and that creates drama and conflict, tension, as they say, but hopefully in the end you keep them at bay. Yep. That's
right. Yeah. And part of that kind of like, I guess, was a window into Edgar Rice Burroughs' mind about like how, nature versus nurture, kind of what drives human behavior and things like that. Really kind of, it does like make for a very interesting character, whether you fall on one side or the other.
Absolutely.
All right. So if we go back to the warrior poet concept here, did you guys know that Achilles was a warrior poet? Did you?
I had heard that after I did it, actually. So it was not an inspiration, but it was almost more like validation, I guess. So,
yeah.
That
is pretty cool. I didn't realize that. Abigail, did you read the Iliad?
I did, but honestly, I don't remember a lot of it. I liked the Odyssey better.
Did you?
So I remember that Achilles like dropped out of the war and left it for everybody else for most of the time.
He's a quitter.
Quitter.
Go sing a song instead. Yeah. Typical bard.
Typical bard.
Well, I think that's cool because Achilles is like, basically unmatched martially, right? And then, but he also, had this side of him where he was musical. And that immediately made me think of David, right, from the Bible. And if I skip forward into, here, it actually brought that up as like a major. Yeah, he was absolutely very musical. Like and in teaching stories of David to kids and stuff like that, if I have an audience where it's young women, I couch it in terms of like, this guy would be like your ultimate crush, right? Because like, he's good looking, he's powerful, he's confident, and he's musical, and so like he's talented at everything he does, that kind of guy, total Chad. And so the girls would love him, and so here was like really a very archetypal warrior poet,
Yes, that is a good one too, and I hadn't even thought of that. But wow, the one, probably the original, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it would seem so. And it's interesting because if you think about parallels between David and the Son of Man, Jesus, right? David is an archetype of Christ, right? And so here we have, this warrior poet. Who's basically, a foreshadow of the ultimate king.
Yep.
And he himself, can be considered as a warrior poet in his own right, like
For sure.
about the might, the power, but he's philosophical,
Yep.
and so that's
Yeah, these are great models. Yeah, you could do worse than, like I said, use any of these as models. David, Achilles, Sun Tzu, George Patton. These basically it's probably so hard to, obviously just being a frontline warrior, if you think about it in real life, a lot of times these are just real focused guys. They fight, and when they're not fighting, they don't want to think about anything else because they probably just deal in death all the time. So it's probably is very rare indeed that you find one who's just is competent at that, but also isn't afraid to explore other things to do and go down other roads.
Well, it's interesting because like I told you about how Abigail and I are reading The Hobbit together, right?
Yes.
And one remarkable thing about The Hobbit is you have this juxtaposition of like these rough and tumble in The Hobbit is dwarves, right? And they, they're fighters, they're very serious, and they're dangerous. But then they break out into these songs that they sing, and they're just like no shame at all, and then they all have instruments and stuff like that they play. And it's like, so it like kind of pulls in, and it's like it's part of their whole persona. You know what I mean? It's like, we're on an adventure. Hey, let's do a song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it really kind of like it's woven into what they do, and it's not at all outside of what they're about. So it's kind of I mean,
you're dealing with there's no TV, there's no movies, there's no social media, in these fantasy worlds. So this is entertainment. You have to kind of think about that for a moment, but it's true. This is having someone being able to recount a ballad is entertainment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, JP and I have the exact same. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's true. And if we take someone like David from the Bible, very prolific, warrior poet, because we have the Book of Psalms. Nearly, a large majority of the Psalms are Psalms of David. Yeah. And at one point, those would have been put to music, but we don't have the tunes anymore.
And in my warrior poet, if you were looking for, sort of where that would fit in, that would be his magnum opus. That's one of the last things you do before you get the Song of Deeds unfinished. Where you can kind of whisper someone back to life. But yeah, right before that, that's your great work.
That's right. Yeah. And how many Psalms are just like part of just our public consciousness. Like David would maybe say, well, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. And that might be something he would pull out with someone who's on the brink, like don't die on me now situation. And then
absolutely,
and then kind of like they come back in that mighty moment, and because like those passages have a real mighty effect on a lot of people in the real world, like a real spiritual impact. So that's
for sure.
Yeah, that's a pretty neat thing.
That would be a great interpretation using David. Even if maybe lean into a little bit more of the spirituality. But there's still be some combat. Because as we know, David did his share too. But yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and David was fierce, like a fierce scrapper. Like if we talk about like as a young man. Even when he was just a shepherd, he was not afraid because, like, he killed a bear, killed a lion with his sling. That takes balls. You know what I mean? That's like
absolutely.
That's impressive. And then he goes in and basically shocks the world by, killing this giant in like manner. And then he starts to I guess, earn the jealousy of Saul. And then he's on the run, and he's got his own like force behind him, like a fighting force that's like essentially like a revolutionary force, but he's still loyal to Saul at the same time. It's kind of a weird situation. Yeah. And when he finally wins the kingdom, he's a mighty powerful warrior still, and he even has issues where his own son Absalom tries to take the kingdom from him, takes some of his wives from him, and basically betrays him. And this is a real. Are you familiar with that story? His son Absalom.
I am not. It's been a while. Yeah.
It
seems like the Bible's replete with stories like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a touching story because his son, he absolutely betrays him and like wrecks his kingdom and situation, and then I think it was David's Captain Joab that actually killed Absalom in the heat of his retreat, and David was so broken by that. The passage is crushing that you see in the Bible. He says, "O Absalom, my son, my son. Would that I had died instead of thee, O Absalom, my son, my son." And he wept bitterly for, when you think of how much he really loved the boy, even with all the stuff he did to him. It's really a touching story.
As any father would, it's like, it's fathers and sons have this weird thing where they're very, I played baseball, help my son learn how to play baseball, football. We were really close growing up, but then you have this sort of, if you've done a good job, when they're out of the house, they're on their own, and you don't, like I said, you don't really have to do much, parenting then. And what I found is, because I have a son and a daughter, and obviously I love them both equally, but I end up talking a little bit more nowadays with my daughter, because she's a little bit more, like me, and it's just a different relationship. But I would feel the same way, that David did, with the death of his son. If, even if my son ever, committed such betrayal, any father realizes they are your son, and, there's only one. So you have to, forgive them.
Yeah. Yeah, heart-wrenching. And so that's part of the tragedy of David, and so that is interesting because it seems like this warrior poet concept is or can lend itself to being coupled with tragedy. You know what I mean? And I think that's being confronted with tragedy makes people wax poetic, so to speak. Makes them think deeper in inner.
Should definitely be steeped in loss and in tragedy. You just assume over time, if this character's in a regular D&D group, you're going to have your share of people that are maybe going to die, or characters that are going to die, and maybe because he's a little tougher, he's going to stick around. But there should always be the PCs that pass on should always be near and dear to the warrior poet's heart, I would think.
Yeah, that's right. And even I guess if we were to continue with the David concept, when he basically fell from grace and lost his preferred standing before the Lord, he had betrayed his friend Uriah. One of his right-hand men, a crack troop, an elite soldier, for his wife, right? And then
Bathsheba, right?
Yeah, Bathsheba. And then so he basically, he slept with Bathsheba, summoned her, slept with her. The Bible's silent about her level of involvement in that affair. If you read Josephus, he seems to indicate that there was some willingness there. But I mean, he was a powerful guy, and you know how that can be alcoholic to women. So, yeah, so he basically he had created tragedy for himself down the line as a result of that. And and from that more psalms came, showing his contrition
Yep.
in the matter, deep sorrow.
Yeah. Interesting guy.
Yeah, absolutely. It does make an interesting character, in gameplay or historical examples. It really does. So, let's see. Classical Greece adds another dimension: the warrior scholar. Now, warrior scholar was kind of like my first conception of this. When we kind of were on the same wavelength, but had no idea that we were thinking the same thing. And you came out with this product, and I had come up with the idea before I saw your product.
Right.
Warrior scholar was what I was thinking, but it really is kind of the same idea. But
yeah, they're just probably a little bit more philosophical about life in general rather than war specifically and battle specifically.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
I think it's just like just different words for the same basic concept.
Yeah.
But then it kind of talks about medieval Europe and the knight, the Western knight, as this model of the concept of warrior poet. Because and even later on, the gentleman warrior. Let's see. There's World War One. There was, maybe it was Renaissance, a warrior gentleman. Anyway, like this kind of idea, this chivalric idea of like, there's honor in having this nuanced side to you, this artsy side to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's seen in itself of being its own glory, right?
Right.
Whereas like when you get someone who's a little bit more one-dimensional, like a dumb like half orc or something, they don't care about that stuff. Maybe they don't read very well. They scoff at that kind of thing. But with the warrior poet, they can transcend those worlds, and they do it without shame. Of like the fighter and the thinking man, or the contributor to civilization.
Yeah, I mean this. If you're thinking like in D&D, this should be someone that everybody wants to go have a beer with. Like that's why the charisma, is one of the main stats that you need. He should be someone that people will just be in rapt attention of, because they speak, clearly, intelligently, and with passion, about some pretty heavy duty stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It kind of reminds me, I know a guy, and he was a police officer. And he's got all kinds of stories. Like, so he's always telling stories. He loves telling stories, you can tell. But they're amazing stories, like just some of the stuff that happened to him or that he did, or, the circumstances he was in and the things he had to do. And, I think that like, if he were musically inclined, he would almost be like a modern day bard or something like that, or like warrior poet type of thing.
Yeah, once you start thinking about these, you'll sort of see them everywhere. Like you said, it's the police officer, who just has a ton of what we would affectionately call war stories, right?
Yep. Exactly.
He's facing a different battle, each day, but it's still kind of a battle. So yeah, it's just basically just somebody who's strong enough, to fight, but can also has the charisma and just the appeal to get his experiences out there in a fashion that everybody wants to hear.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, it's like a jack of trades. I think it's really cool because if you play this character, you get to have like one part that it's like you can like inspire the party, you can be the talkative one, and another part where you're not going to be like useless in a fight where you can't really do anything.
And I kind of tailored it that way to where they're very helpful early on because they're essentially like fighters early on. So they're not going to be a hindrance at all. It's just that as time goes on, their abilities don't apply to themselves. It applies to the group. So they can give a bonus to the attack of the group, if they're within range, and he can kind of like see things. It's meant to simulate like, okay, we've been in enough battles and I've talked to enough people. I know what the enemy's going to do, or, I have a pretty good idea of what they're going to do. So I can kind of shout instructions, kind of be that warlord character. But there is a price to pay for that in that, if you're busy looking out for your party, you're probably going to stagnate. And I think that's what happens after a while. He just kind of stagnates as a warrior. It's still pretty good, but the raw fighter or barbarian is always going to be better at higher levels than this character. But this character is going to be better probably for the party.
Yeah. No, that's great. I like that he's an immediate asset because that's important. Kind of like the traditional monk class. Everyone kind of like pinches their nose, holds their nose when they have one of those in the party because it's like, okay, how many levels do we have to deal with this guy or bear with this guy until he's usable?
Useful, yeah.
Yeah. No, not the Dragonslayer monk, but like just the old AD&D monk kind of idea.
The Shaolin monk, yeah.
Yeah, Shaolin monk. But I love the Dragonslayer monk.
I do too. It fits. Me and Greg talked about that when I had him on stream. That just the Shaolin monk, it's tradition now, so it's sort of grandfathered in, but it really makes no sense to have that in a Western D&D. It just does not fit. Yeah,
it's not the right genre. Like if you're going for like a certain aesthetic, like it sticks out like a sore thumb, So I've always had really mixed feelings about it because of that. But is there anything else about the warrior poet that you think we might have missed, Double D?
No, I think we covered it in pretty good detail. Like I said, I think it's a pretty good option for exceptional, characters. If you're looking for a challenge and don't mind being more of a support person as, time goes on. My guess is if you're a power gamer, you're not going to like this character. If you're just looking to min-max and, just be a butt kicker and deal out a lot of damage, this is probably not the character for you. This is, honestly, I would say this character's probably mimics the kind of person that would be drawn to it. Maybe someone who's a little more, maybe just likes to think a little bit more when they're at the table. And by the way, I don't mean to impugn anything because there's sometimes when I'm actually on the player side, I want to turn my brain off and just roll heavy duty damage dice and just all right, point me in front of an opponent and I'll kill them. But this is probably for someone who wants to put a little bit of work into their character when they're in the city, so to speak.
Yeah, I like that. No, that's good. Absolutely. Now what let's talk a little bit about what you've got coming up, because like you said, you're dipping your toes in the water with the warrior poet, just some small things. You've got some other things coming down the pipe. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I'm working on, the warrior poets have been received pretty well, especially just for kind of a no frills, not crowdfunded or anything. I do have a big adventure that's on the back burner right now, just because I'm waiting for some great art from Ken and James. And I need that to kind of start the layout. So I'm thinking of that'll be probably crowdfunded sometime, hopefully early next year in the spring. But until then, I don't want to let the grass grow under my feet. So I can crank out some, I guess what I'm going to call like one night adventures. I'm trying to think of some way to kind of brand them. I have an idea or two. I'm thinking of having a like a Friday night pulp adventure or something like that, where it's basically aimed, again, OSR and ShadowDark. I'm kind of committed to doing those two, and by OSR I mean Dragonslayer. That's going to be the base rules. Where basically a DM can just pay a couple of bucks, get an adventure for the night. They'll have everything they need. They'll have all the stats. They'll have the maps. And, it's obviously kind of the antithesis of, like any sort of like a 5e adventure. This is just very much there's a hook. There's a place to go. There are things to overcome, whether they be people or traps, and, hopefully treasure to be won. And I think people are going to the first one I have is actually very sort of atypical, but I think it's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to getting it out. It's almost done now. And as you guys saw who were here earlier, I'm still working on some of the art for it myself. I figure it's better to, rather than just kind of, I don't want to say cop out and just do AI art, because I know some people that's what they have to do. Like I know Chris Miller does it for Mad Scribe Magazine. He's got a whole magazine to fill, and he needs AI art to do that. So I don't look down my nose at people who use AI art, but also, for my stuff, I would rather have it be that sort of black and white line art, which I know I'm capable of doing. It's probably going to be a little rough at first, but if you think about it, all you really want for an adventure is you want the DM to kind of picture what you have in mind. And he can either describe it to his players, or he can show them. If he thinks it's a terrible, he can just keep it to himself, or he can just show it and say, here. But either way, you're dealing with a book or an adventure that's broken up with a little bit of art. The DM can see, oh, I see what he's saying here. He means this when he's talking about this part of the adventure. And that's all I'm looking for. These are, going to be, maybe like this one's going to be like a 10-page adventure, maybe. Enough for a full night of gaming. And, if the DM is short on ideas or short on time, can just have it ready to go.
Right on. That sounds great. I think that's a great idea, kind of filling that in a niche like that. For Greg's dungeon design contest, I didn't make a submission this year because I was so busy, but I think for future years, what I'm going to do is like a series of Halloween one-shots, and just like every year, it's just going to be like a different. I do
that. I do the Halloween one-shot too. I love it.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are like, I want a cool Halloween one-shot. Where is one? Like that. So
one of the things I'm going to do, I'll show you another piece I was working on. You know how like Tales from the Crypt, like there's like the little crypt keeper, and even in those magazines, sometimes he'd have a little cartoon bubble, like, what do you think, about what's going on here? Maybe some bad joke or something. Yeah. I'm thinking of incorporating that in these little mini adventures I'm doing. So I created this. It's Votsy the Lich.
Oh my gosh. Awesome.
Did you know that?
I did.
Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Again, I use reference, I had Grok. I'm like, give me a Lich, and this beautiful full color one. I'm like, all right, well, I got to try to recreate that now. So, I sort of had this idea in my head where, I'm just going to be like, you could make it a little personable. I don't know if anybody's ever done anything like that, but, you could have just little call outs, on every couple pages or something, like I said, with a bad joke or, advice to the DM or something like that. So we'll see how it goes.
That's a fun idea, kind of a callback to like, the Crypt Keeper.
Old Crypt Keeper, yep.
Yeah. What was the comic books? EMC or
whatever, one? Yeah, what the heck? The one from the 50s, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Bad jokes. We get plenty of those here from me. Bad jokes. We don't know anything about that.
There's a joke in his name. I named him Votsy, which is very close to Watsy, Wizards of the Coast. So it's Votsy the Lich. Yeah. So we'll try to have fun with it. I'll see how I can work him in, but we'll see where it goes. I was doing some writing today. I'm almost done. The good thing about these is they're real quick adventures, so you don't have to, write a ton. So hopefully, I'm hoping maybe by the end of the week to have something up. So if you're on, drive through, just follow Double D Enterprises, and you'll see. I'm sure I will shout it out too on the channel too. So better yet, just subscribe to the channel and you'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Push
Yep.
back
You-
against back over the
JP, you are reading my mind. That is exactly what I thought. I'm like, okay, MFers, you want to play that? So we can do a little bit of that ourselves.
That's right. Absolutely. Screw those guys.
Yep, for sure.
Oh, well, okay. Well, before we sign off, let's take a quick moment because we're in that season to gush over Greg Gillespie's Northern Reaches. So I'm not sure if you're aware or if anyone out there watching is aware, but I actually put an advertisement for it up on my channel. So if you don't mind, I think I'm going to play it as a bit of a
Please.
parting shot here. So let me see if I can share that. I'm going to try and... All right, come on now. Share screen. Also share tab sound. Yeah.
Can you hear Benson upstairs?
Can you?
Yeah.
We get to it. It's cute. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a sweetheart. He loves his daddy. All right. Well, let's check this. Go ahead.
I was just going to say we went to Pittsburgh last weekend to go to the zoo with our granddaughter. We rented an Airbnb, so we got the whole family together. Everybody was there. We had such a good time. Yeah.
That's
That's awesome. Golden memories right there.
Yep.
Sweeties. Girls are so fun.
Yep, for sure. Oh, we're not seeing it.
You're not. Oh, hold on a second.
Yeah,
All right. I always forget to add it.
I do that too, so I don't feel bad. I always do that.
All right, give me 1 second here. Okay, now I'm going to try it. Let me know if you cannot hear it. Good?
Is it supposed to have sound?
Yes, it's supposed to have sound. Does it not do anything?
Does not have sound.
I can't hear it.
Okay, let's see. Troubleshooting.
It looks really cool, though.
Looks cool.
Yeah, it is totally cool. Let's see if we can get the sound going.
See, the sound worked when it wasn't shown, but...
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because I heard it too. Yeah, and then when you added it to the screen, the sound seemed to go away.
Choose your
All
poison.
right. Let me see if I can. Get this going again. Because if we can't get sound, it's the, that's not me.
Yeah.
How's that? Can you hear it?
No.
No.
Do you have in the screen where you are, I assume you're sharing like a video file?
It's a YouTube video. Yeah, I'm just kind of sharing it. All right.
Yeah, there's a when you share a hold on 1 second. Yeah, when you share a screen, there's a tab at the bottom that says also share tab audio. Make sure that is on.
Yeah, I did do that. Let me see. I'll try and I'll remove it, and I will stop my share, and I'm going to add it. Northern Reaches. Yeah.
Dad, you didn't put the comments up, but JP said...
Oh, okay. Maybe I didn't have it. Okay, sorry. I thought that this meant checked. I guess I'm done. Sorry. Okay, let's try this again.
I saw that comment too, Abby. That was pretty funny.
And then he's got to wear roadkill deer as a hat.
It's struck dead. All right.
JP killing it.
Let's start her. Third time's charm.
Remember to add it.
Oh yes. Okay. All right, here we go.
Oh,
There it is. There it is. Yep.
There we go.
Good.
Now, I didn't want to emphasize the purple trans colors. I was just trying to less don't judge too harsh.
I like it.
Kind of messed with the color scheme a little bit on right on. So
Nice.
I
like it.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well done.
Role play.
Well, there we go. There's let's
OSR
do this
games.
live stream on
We
my live
published,
stream.
like D&D
no,
OSR
somebody
games.
Close that down. Computer's almost. It's like
double live stream.
You're being what the kids call a boomer.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
For a guy who works with computers, you're really bad.
Yeah, no, that's right. I think I could earn that title actually. Oh. Yeah, even though I'm not.
You and me both, pal. You and me both.
Yeah, if I get the enemies that you got, then I'm certainly going to be called out for that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, I such as it is, that's
yeah, great. I supported that. Just anybody in the chat or who's watching this after, I did support it. Like I said, whenever I have people on and I'm asking my audience, like, hey, you guys should buy this, or like I explicitly endorse this, I will always pony up with my own money and support it, and I did with Greg's. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Looks great. Look, Greg is such a professional. He's so smart, and everything he's done has been great. Like not just good, like great. So it's almost like this is a no-brainer. Just get it. You'll never regret it. Every one of his books except for one, which I ordered actually with the Kickstarter. And I've never regretted getting any of them.
Oh yeah, no, it's in fact, I love them so much I feel like I want to buy them again, just because they're so cool. Yeah. So that's how much I love Greg's work, and if that little video helps pump people up, I'd be really glad for that. I don't know, maybe it might translate into an extra sale or so.
Did a great job on it, yeah. Did a great job showing it off, yeah. Like I said, that's advertising I know Greg always appreciates. He's always very thankful, whenever I have him on. I'm sure he loves, people who support him, like you do. So yeah. I'm sure Greg is
I like Greg. He's not he's a top-notch guy just like you are. And that's one of the things I love about him. It's not just the output of his genius work. It's also he's just a really great guy. And so, he's like a buddy, you just got a lot of respect for him. And like I do for you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of respect for you. You are a very cool guy. I'm sure you are a great father, as I'm sure Abby would let us know. And
definitely.
And Abby, you are very lucky to have a dad who includes you in stuff like this. There's so many bad fathers in the world, or absentee fathers. And yeah, I mean, I know there's times I probably embarrassed my daughter, but me and my daughter are like this, to this day. And, just because we have that relationship and we just talk, we talk and, laugh
always
together.
Come back after you go out to get the milk, it's just,
exactly. Yeah. Going for a pack of cigarettes, guys. That was the 70s. That was the 70s version of that.
Yeah.
Going for a pack of smokes. I'll be back. Yeah. But yeah. You guys are great. Yeah. I love this. Anytime you guys want me to come on, I will. Yeah.
Oh, well, that sounds great to us. I'll try and, have a
every week
sufficient excuse to make it worth your while.
I was going to say, I make it boring unless there's something new happening, but but absolutely. Yeah. So absolutely. I'd love to.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you guys.
We hope that your work gets more and more noticed, the kind of credit that it deserves, and that, more people subscribe to Diversity in Dragons. I think everybody who has their head screwed on straight should. And even if you're just interested in like pop entertainment and stuff like that, it is very enjoyable to watch. But of course it is D&D focused. So, but yeah, it's absolutely worth your while. It's so much fun.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming on, and we will chat hopefully soon. So have a great week, and thank you everybody for coming and checking it out.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
All right, until next time, keep it rolling. I'm going to end. There we go.